buying a house was probably one of the most American things you could have did like just a few decades ago, right? And obviously we know that ship has sailed, just for one man to be working in the household and raise a family. And that's like in the times of like our grandparents and stuff like that. But when you think about it, even half of millennials own homes. Okay, so the harsh truth is Gen Z, we're likely to be the generation of actually becoming more of renters than actual home owners, right? The famous quote, "You will own nothing and be happy." This was said at the World Economic Forum in 2016 for how life will be in 2030. And 2030 is approaching quick, right? And if you don't know, the WEF, World Economic Forum, is like where the biggest businesses, governments, they all meet, top 1% of the 1%. Okay? And so now, they're saying that. And you think about everything today. Majority of people, majority of Gen Z, rent everything. Rent everything from subscriptions. You rent the music you listen to, everything you watch. A lot of like rentals with your car's not even really yours. The place you live is being rented, right? It's more of us that rent than own. And now, of course, the dream of buying a cute little starter home at 25 with a picket fence, all that is just dead, right? And that's just the reality, because the game has changed, right? Prices are higher, the rules are different, and the math of it is all even uglier. And if you don't learn this new way of playing this game, you're going to be renting for life. And I'm not saying this to depress you, scare you. I'm saying it to wake you up, because there is a way you can still buy a house, but we can't be playing by the same old rules anymore, because they just don't apply. You have to learn the new ones, the Gen Z way. You can love your grandparents. Grandparents have your best interests at heart, but their advice is just not salad anymore. From how they grew up and the same economy, the same atmosphere they were in, it no longer applies to us. Even our parents, millennials, their advice is just, the game's different. It changes every generation. And I know even after us, the generation after, it's going to be changed again. So that's exactly what I'm going to be going over in this video. So let me start by saying why housing feels impossible today. Okay, so let's just break down the three main reasons. You got prices, you got interest rates, and then you have income to debt ratios. So just starting off with the prices, like that is the main thing. So I looked at a study out back in 1970. The median home price was about $23,000. And at the time, the median household income was around $9,800. So that comes to about 2 to 3 times the annual income. Now, fast forward to today, and the median home price in the US is somewhere north of about $400,000. And, you would think wages would keep up with that. But the median household income today is about $74,000. So that means houses now are costing around 6 times your annual income. And, depending on where you're at, sometimes it's 8 or 9 in super hot markets. So translation, your paycheck just buys way less house than it used to. Okay, your parents, grandparents didn't necessarily work harder. They just played an easier game. Okay, so let's break down interest rates, which is kind of like a silent killer. Not as big as prices, but this factors in as well, because everyone is fixated on the sticker price of a house, but the monthly payment, is going to be what determines if you can even afford it. So let's just take a $300,000 house at a 3% interest rate, like we saw pre-pandemic during that time. That was about $1,265 a month on principal and interest, which was a little bit more manageable for people. Now, today, if you took it 300K house at 7% interest, now suddenly that payment is going to jump to over $2,000 a month. Same house, same price tag, but double the pain, right? And that's why people are starting to feel priced out. It's not just the sticker, it's the financing costs that doubled literally in the past few years. Now, of course, there's pros and cons with interest rates that you got to think of. Obviously, you can see a jump like that is going to hurt us, right? Anything post-pandemic, we're kind of screwed, right? That's around the time I graduated high school. So you can't tell me I was thinking about buying a house before then. So it's just an unfortunate situation that I'm being put into. But at the same time, you got to look at, you hear all the time about housing shortages. Okay. So that means there's more people needing a house than there actually are houses, right? So they're building all these houses now. I'm actually seeing a lot of like townhouse type stuff being built where I'm at. But regardless, they're building more, but there's a housing shortage. Now, with a housing shortage, simple supply demand basics, less supply, more demand would be more cost on the house, right? And now with interest rates up so high like they are, they're starting to come down, right? I mean, we're in October 2025. The interest rates are starting to come back down, and the housing market is stagnant right now, right? Because people that are already locked into houses have that low interest rate, and if they want to move, they don't want to buy a house that's going to, let's just say it's the same $300,000 house. They're going to pay more because the interest rate is up, right? So that's why you have more houses sitting. But the problem is when these interest rates are going to get down, okay? They just did it a week or two ago. They lowered the rates. They're going to do it again this month, or at least this year, right? They're on the track of doing that. When they lower these rates, now that demand is going to spike back up because people are seeing that cheaper price. But the key factor is it's going to bring more demand. So these house prices are going to shoot up. So this $300,000 house, now they're seeing that multiple people want to buy it. So then they're going to up it to 320. All right, who wants it then? Oh, they have two bidders? All right, let's try 340. Okay, now we got something cooking at 340, right? So you got to think in those terms, but it matters a lot. Honestly, buying a house at a higher interest rate, like right now, if you can afford the high interest rate, if you can hold off for 2-3 years, when interest rates go back down, you can refinance that. You can refinance that 7% interest to whatever it is in the future. Say it's like 4% or something. And you'll literally get down the payments. Plus, you don't have to worry about your house being at a higher cost. Okay, now let's continue with the last reason why housing seems so impossible today. Is another roadblock that people don't even realize exists, which is your debt to income ratio. Because banks don't just care about the house price, they care how much other debt you have compared to your income. Now, this is called your DTI, debt to income ratio. And most banks don't want your housing costs to be above 28 to 30% of your gross income. So let's just say if you make $50,000 a year, your max housing payment should be about $1,250 a month. And good luck finding a house at that price, in most major cities. I mean, even like suburbs and stuff like that, right? And this is why most people get denied, even when they feel like they're ready. Because the math, it just doesn't work out for the banks. Then consider all that other debt that most people have, right? Because this is just assuming you didn't have any debt. But the debt to income ratio is going to consider all factors. A lot of people, you got cars, you got expensive cars under your name. You can put phones under your name. I don't know, credit card, student loan, anything, right? It revolves around debt. And so many Gen Z is just wrapped into this thing that, oh, I could afford the monthly payment on this, so I think I should get this $50,000 truck. Like, just because you can afford that monthly payment doesn't mean it's good for you in the long run. All right, so I said at the beginning, we can't play by old rules, right? We got the new rules. So the rules simple. You can't play the housing game just straight up anymore. You have to use leverage, improve your credit, and just get creative with how you qualify. Okay, so let's break this down. Number one, improve your credit. Now, your credit score is going to be everything when it comes to getting a mortgage, because it doesn't just determine if you're approved, but it also determines your interest rates. So I don't know if you ever got like a car loan. The better credit you got, the lower the interest rate is, right? Same thing. A difference of just 1% in your interest rate for the house could literally mean $200 to $300 less per month on this same loan. And over a 30-year mortgage, that's tens of thousands of dollars that you're saving just in that alone. So if you're serious about owning a home, your first step isn't just saving for a down payment. It's fixing your credit. And with that, you're paying down debt. Anything, any credit cards, student loan, car even. Lower your utilization, and make sure you're making every payment on time. Now, next is simply house hacking. And this is probably the biggest cheat code that Gen Z has just for buying in today's market. So house hacking means that you can buy a property that has multiple units, like a duplex, triplex. You can even get approved for a fourplex, or literally just a house that has a basement apartment, right? So you live in one unit and you rent out the others. Now, you can use that rental income to actually offset your mortgage. So let's just say that the mortgage is $2,000, $2,000 a month. If you rent out one side for $1,000, then suddenly you're only paying $1,000 a month. So that makes the house affordable, and it makes the banks more likely to approve you. Now, you can do something like this if you want to put it out to someone random, right? You don't want to have like a shared space with them. But if you know any roommate, any like family members, friends, somebody who you're fine with obviously sharing a same house with, you can rent out rooms. Now, my little cousin does this actually, where he owns it's a duplex. He actually bought a duplex with one of his other buddies, and they got two on one side, and then they got two on the other side. So 2, 4, there's 6 of them, literally splitting all the expenses. And my cousin living pretty cheap. He's one of 6 guys in that house, right? And they all know each other. They're all cool, stuff like that, right? So that's a good option. That's smart of him. My approach, I have a roommate, and right now, we're renting together, and we're actually planning on buying a house. So actually going half on it. So like right now, the rent, utilities, like electric, water, internet, all that stuff comes out to about $2,000 total for both of us. So I split that. I'm only paying $1,000 a month. Now we're looking at a house, which probably be getting next year or the year after, just depending. But we'll be doing that and basically be paying the same thing. I'm gonna get into it later, but we'll basically be paying around the same, right? But that's just me using a roommate, right? So that's kind of how I'm going about this whole house hacking. So let me continue. The next part in getting creative with it is just using government programs that they have available, right? So they have FHA programs, which, is basically saying you don't have to do the traditional 20% down to buy a house, right? So if you're trying to buy a $300,000 house, that's $60K cash, to put it down, right? And that's just a mountain most people can never even climb up. But the FHA, it lets you put down, as low as like 3.5%, 5%. But if you're only putting 3.5% down on a 300K house, that's only $10,500 instead of $60,000, right? Which is way more doable, and it encourages first-time home buyers. So, and the FHA loans also have more lenient credit score requirements, so they are designed to help first-time buyers. And yes, you probably will have to pay like extra $100 a month. They charge us like an insurance for if you put under 20% down on a house. But once you get in the house, you could actually keep on saving and put more into the mortgage till you get to that 20%, which is what I'm actually considering doing right now. I don't know if we're going to put the full 20% down on the house, or maybe put 10% down, 15%, and then, just pay more every single month towards the mortgage so we can get rid of that PMI, the property mortgage insurance, with about an extra $100 if you put under 20% down. But regardless, if you can lock it in, put, the minimum down for a FHA loan, that's still really good. Because the key is seriously just getting your foot in the door, right? Whether you want to own multiple properties or not in the future, you're going to want to get your foot in the door with this first home. And the big reason why I want to buy personally, even though, you hear the rap about, a house, it actually costs more because you have to take care of maintenance. You can't call like a maintenance man to come fix everything for free for you. But so I'll go into what I'm looking for in a home right now, right? I'm looking at a house. It's about 280 to 290. It's in a really nice area. So I don't want to say the location, but the location is not from my hometown, right? So I have location freedom, right? So that's kind of the flexibility that I have. So getting this home, right? I said how I pay the total rent right now where I'm at is $2,000 a month. Now, having a house, this house that I'm looking at, like I said, location freedom is a good price, 280, 290. It's also a newer build. So it's not something super old. Like my filter is like the oldest is younger than me. I want a house that's younger than me, right? And I was looking at like 2003, 2004 to 2010 houses, and they were still in that range, right? Because once you get like a 1980s or 70s house, right? Yeah, you can expect to put some more money into it, which is why I was looking at somewhat newer. Okay. So anyways, the whole monthly payment for what this house would be is actually cheaper. I probably save like extra $100, $200 a month buying this house. Now, mind you, with it comes my own privacy. It's going to be way bigger, right? Because right now we're in a 2-bed, 2-bath apartment surrounded by all these other people. It's the actual house. Like it was a 4-bed, 2.5 bath. So even if I wanted to get like another roommate, that could be an option. I'm not going to consider it. Like I'm not going to weigh that in. Like, oh, I need an extra roommate in order to get this. Based on where I'm at right now, I got me, roommate. We both split it. It's actually cheaper than the apartment. Now, might have to factor in tiny maintenance things, which is why I said I want a newer type of house. But those costs eventually weigh out. So say you need a big upgrade, like, I don't know, a roof or something, and it costs you 10 grand. Well, I hold on to the house long enough. Honestly, I don't plan on selling it, but let's just say I wanted to sell it 10 years down the road. Well, I'd make that money up for it because I put money into the asset. Versus if I rent for an extra 10 years, there's nothing to show for it. I don't have any equity built with it. As well as when you rent, you're subject to getting an increase every single month. Every single month, or every single year, every single year they could increase your monthly rate, right? Whether it's only 50, 80, $100, that stuff's still adding up year on year, right? Now, chances are you probably already know that buying is better than renting, but I just want to get that point across, right? And especially my situation, it's actually going to be a bit cheaper, right? And don't get it confused that the house is in a bad area. right? Because you got to watch with renting, because there is cheaper rent spots, but are you sacrificing your location, right? I mean, because that's a big factor for me. I'm not trying to live in the hood. Been there, done that, like I'm not trying to do that. As well as a house, right? You can find a cheaper house. So you got to be smart about where you're going. So it kind of evens out. Now, let me get into, smart alternatives if you can't buy it. Now, I thought about it. What if I didn't have this such great roommate with me, right? Because some people, I get it. Because honestly, if I had to pick another roommate, I might be able to, but I hate relying on people, Like, I'd hate to have to say, like, oh, I can't move to this city because I need this person to come with me in order to go half on it, but we can't do it because I don't know if he's gonna, like, you know what I'm saying? So I get that. Roommate I got now, great, probably the only one. So let's just say you're not in that situation. What if I didn't have a roommate? Honestly, I'd look at a trailer house. I ain't gonna lie. And some people might be, what, trailer park trash? Bad. No, have you ever, I don't know if it's just by me. I don't know if it's just where I was at. I toured trailers before to actually rent. I was gonna rent. There's plenty of trailer parks. I don't know if it's an Ohio thing, right? But there was actually nice trailer parks, I guess you could call them. I don't know what else to call them, but it was like a big community, stuff like that. These were actual like nice, just wide body trailers. And they're literally half the cost of these traditional houses. So if I'm thinking like that, I'm thinking, okay, well, half the size, half the price, I get my own little spot, right? Because I mean, they're really not that bad. I think the only thing is their value doesn't go up. It doesn't get appreciated as much as a house. But you got to think, at least your rent is going to be, or your rent, it is going to move, right? So when you own it, that monthly payment that you got, it's not like rent where it keeps going up, but that payment is flat. And I mean, you hold it long enough, at the end of the day, you can still own it and then be clear on it. Okay, so there is that. But I mean, that's just an option, okay? But let's just say you're not there yet. You're not thinking about a trailer park. So we got to start at the basics. So let's just say your credit's not great. You don't have the down payment, or, the market that you're at is just simply too hot where you live to even do it. So what can you do? Well, first off, you can rent smart, because renting does get a bad rep, but it's not always throwing money away. Okay, because renting can be a smart move. If it lets you live below your means, you can save aggressively, and then you don't have to deal with the surprise costs that come up, like if a broken water heater or roof repairs come into play, right? So the key is to not rent stupid, right? Don't blow your whole paycheck on a luxury apartment that you can't afford. It's taking half your monthly paycheck. Rent cheap, live smart, invest the difference. This is probably the best time to be with a roommate. Find a couple guys, family members even. Stay with your parents. Anything, right? And it's a little bit easier when you're renting because you always have a way out. Reason I wouldn't want to buy with too many people, like have people's names on a mortgage, because then it can get kind of tricky. It's harder to leave it. And if they default on it, your credit is tied to it. But renting with other people would be a smarter move. Okay. Then next, you can always invest elsewhere. Okay. So, who's to say that the first big investment that you have is just on the house? Okay. Because there's other ways that you can build wealth faster in different areas. You can do it simply with stocks, just dollar cost averaging. In those, you could do mutual funds, ETFs, stuff like that, crypto. There's other ways, right? So when you build wealth first, Then you can get the chance to circle back around to housing when you're stronger financially. See, the key is not blowing all the money that you spend. At the end of the day, the dream of buying a house isn't dead, but it definitely isn't easy by any means how it was, right? If you try playing by the old rules, save 20%, buy a house that's 2 times your salary, white picket fence, all that, you're going to be stuck renting forever, right? We got to look at these new rules that are in place. Fixing up your credit, saving, using government, funds, the programs that they got, the FHA, house hacking, and then renting smartly while you invest. You can still make it happen, right? It's all about having a plan. It takes strategy, okay? It takes you being aware and just refuse to be a victim of this game, this new game that we're playing that's totally rigged against us. Okay? Like right now, it's about 25% of Gen Z that owns a home. I don't know if it's going to get to that 50% like millennials, right? And we sure aren't buying homes in our 20s as soon as, boomers and millennials were, right? It's a whole nother ball game. But take an approach, come up with a strategy that makes sense for you. I told you my strategy. It could be good for you. You could still stay at home and invest all that extra money that you get from saving with your parents. Or if you're saving an extra $500 a month, you could go blow it, get you a Camaro, get you a Scat Pack. I mean, it's all about being smart, because at the end of the day, like I said, time and time again, it's the game's rigged against us. It's rigged against us. And I'm not here to complain. I'm not here to blame. I'm here to come up with solutions and be able to better myself, better the people around me, and all around just help Gen Z, because this is such a pivotal point in our lives. I don't think there's enough people talking about it. The financial world, what we're coming to, just the financial stress of everything. And nobody's helping you. Nobody's helping Gen Z for nothing. So yeah, affordability is harder than ever, but impossible? No, not if you know the playbook, right? And that's all I wanted to share. That's all I'm about. This is the whole channel is revolved around. Other than that, I'm out.